I'm recording this while bombs are falling, this time in Iran. I want to say that plainly because I believe that matters where my thoughts are coming from. The news is doing what the news does: scrolling, updating, analysing. And the language is what you'd expect: targeted, destroyed, eliminated. Those words belong there, I guess, however much they turn your stomach. What I can't stop thinking about is where else we hear those words. Crush your goals, destroy the competition, dominate your niche, smash your targets. They're in business emails, marketing copy, motivational videos aimed at people trying to sell bathroom tiles. War got there first. The boardroom just decided to help itself. I can't stop flinching at that. Here's the thing. I've never spoken like that. Not once, not in 40 years of managing, working, building things. I've never told anyone to crush anything. Never framed a project as a battle. Never walked into a meeting and just decided, right, who are we going to destroy today? And it always rubbed me up the wrong way. Still does. But what I watch, what I've noticed over the years, is that gradually these things happen that way. Everyone else seemed to stop noticing, if they ever noticed in the first place. Crush stopped meaning violence and started meaning ambition. Target stopped meaning crosshairs and started meaning goal. Destroy became a compliment. Not for me, but apparently for enough people there, it became just the norm. Wallpaper, the default register, the way you were supposed to talk if you were serious about anything. I've no idea when it started feeling normal. I guess reality TV played some part, and maybe it did the heavy lifting, I don't know. Decades of watching people compete, humiliate each other, get eliminated. Fame framed as entertainment, framed as aspiration. The Apprentice didn't just show us what businesses were supposed to be run like. It told you that battle was the natural state of things. That if you weren't winning, you were losing. There was no third option. Movies, games, social media, this platform, all of it training the same reflex. And not that I play video games, never been my thing, but you don't need to play them to absorb the vocabulary, the atmosphere. It's in the trailers, the headlines, the general sense that the world is a competition and you're currently losing. And then you're sitting watching the news and a general is explaining calmly that they've neutralised a target. It's some metaphor, and I don't believe we should be so desensitized to those words as we are. There are these TV shows, Detectorists, Gone Fishing, The Repair Shop, Canal Boat Diaries, all distinctly British, I grant you. I watch them when the noise gets too loud. And I need to remember what a different register feels like. Nobody's being eliminated. Nobody's killing anything. There's Bob Mortimer catching a small fish and falling over with excitement. There are people repairing things that someone else loved. There's an odd-looking man standing in a field with a metal detector, disappointed finding a ring pull from 1980s can. And for 20 minutes or so, the world goes quiet. And then there's Small Profits, Mackenzie Crook's new world of literally homegrown, bizarre creatures that live in glass jars full of water with the magic ability to answer life's big questions. Odd, funny, slightly magical. It's unlike anything else on television. And for a few minutes, it doesn't just quiet the noise. It makes you feel like hope is still possible. That gentle, mystical things still exist somewhere, while the rest of the world argues about targets and payloads. What stays with me every time with all of it is how strange that feeling is. Just watching humans do ordinary things without a scoreboard, without urgency, without jeopardy, without anyone trying to dominate anyone else. It feels almost illicit, like you've stumbled into a room where the rules are different. I want to try say something here without it sounding like a manifesto, because it really isn't. But I keep thinking about two ways of moving through this crazy world. One of them is built around conquest, winning, dominating, being louder, faster, more aggressive than whatever's in your way. The vocabulary of war applied to everything. Goals, competitors, time, your own limitations. You destroy them, you dominate. You emerge victorious. The other one is quieter and harder to name. It's closer to the energy in those BBC TV programs I mentioned. Patience, repair, listening, paying attention to what's actually there rather than what needs to be beaten. Competence that doesn't need to announce itself. And I noticed something else. This language, the crushing, the destroying, the dominating, it's almost entirely male promoted. Men telling other men to kill it, crush it. Men who've decided that aggression is the signal of seriousness, that volume is the measure of strength. I'm not saying women are immune to it or that every man buys into it, but if you follow the money, follow the podcasts, follow the motivational speakers, there's a very particular kind of masculinity at the centre of it. One that decided softness is weakness and calm is failure. I've never recognised myself in that man, of that version of being a man. And I've decided it's worth saying that out loud. I've noticed, maybe particularly at my age, I don't know, that I've always been drawn to the second one. Not because I'm passive, I'm not, but because the first one has always felt like a performance I was never willing to give. I am aware that there are words for these two energies, and they're loaded words. Words that will make some people switch off. And because they think that they know what I'm about to say. I'm going to sidestep them, because the thing I'm pointing at is older and simpler than the current argument. It's just, there are people who want to dominate, and there are people who want to understand. And for a long time now, the first group has been setting the volume. I don't want to overstate what just noticing does. I'm not going to stop the bombs by flinching at the language. I'm not going to shift a culture by preferring Bob Mortimer with a fishing rod to someone telling me to conquer my morning routine. But I think that noticing matters more than it's given credit for. Because the alternative, the thing that happens if you don't notice, is that you absorb it. The vocabulary becomes yours. You start framing your own life in those terms without realizing it. Suddenly your daily walk is optimization. Suddenly your dinner with a friend is networking. Suddenly your retirement is a project to be smashed. And that would be a shame. That would be a genuine loss. Bombs are falling somewhere I've never been, for reasons I only partially understand. In a conflict I have no power over. And I'm sitting here thinking about the language we use to describe ordinary ambition, which maybe sounds absurd, but I think they're connected. I think the willingness to use the vocabulary of war for everything, goals, markets, opponents, Monday mornings, makes the actual vocabulary of war easier to absorb. Makes it feel like just another register, just more of the same. So no, I've never wanted to crush anything. I've wanted to make things, to understand things, to occasionally fix things. Have the odd good conversation. Walk somewhere green and come back slightly less wound up than when I left. That's not a manifesto. It's not even a particularly interesting ambition. But it's mine. And right now, in the middle of all this noise, it feels worth saying out loud. So to wrap this all up in a nice, neat little bow, I'm not sorted, not solved. I'm still just noticing and quietly, stubbornly refusing to speak like a general.